Part 63. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 621. So you can't do anything with it. Suddenly, a spiritual communication came from the Zerg spiritual sea. As a master, they have some privileges in the spiritual sea. They can avoid other Zerg and communicate alone. They can even hide some of their true thoughts. But this is all theoretical. As native Zerg upgraded to masters, they are used to not lying. As powerful Zerg masters, they don't need to lie most of the time. On the contrary, it is Xiaoming who can make better use of this privilege. But to be honest, Xiaoming lies mostly for self-protection. There is no need to use lies to cheat himself for any benefits. Xiaoming actually has nothing missing. When he accepted the spiritual communication, he immediately knew what kind of master was speaking. The other party is also a Zerg centipede, with a mental power of the intermediate level 6, which is roughly the same as the Zerg king. Didn't I win? Xiaoming replied. Alas, another overlord also joined the chat. We can all kill him. I just hope that a new overlord can save him. Xiaoming felt that the spiritual sea seemed to be an open chat group. Any overlord could come and get involved. What was said could only be roughly translated. Because everyone was communicating spiritually. No real language was used. Then another overlord surfaced. The big centipede is dead? Then we can't use it for testing in the future. It's okay, next time we'll use the big spider. About 20 overlords talked at once. Xiaoming didn't get a word in from beginning to end. But through this conversation, I roughly understood a few things about the Zerg. The tradition of the Zerg. A new overlord must pass the test before being accepted by the overlord chat group. This test is to build a decent Zerg nest. And most of the places where nests can be built have been occupied. Some are occupied by the overlords of the Zerg, and some are occupied by certain cosmic creatures. The one who guided Xiaoming to find the big centipede was the centipede master who chatted with Xiaoming at the beginning and pulled Xiaoming into the group. He probably knew what happened to his compatriots. This was not the first time he guided the new master. But the big centipede was really powerful, and no new master could deal with it. Some were beaten away, some were even eaten directly. Until Xiaoming appeared. The centipede master also hoped to use fighting to promote the original big centipede to regain consciousness. This method was not very reliable, but the Zerg's brain circuits were generally rough, and they always thought that fighting could solve all problems. Xiaoming killed the centipede and occupied the asteroid community. It was only a matter of time to build a qualified nest. So the master chat group added him in advance. All the Zerg 6th level masters were mixed in this chat group. Including Xiaoming, there are 43 in total. Legend has it that there are 3 planets as big as Pangu inside the sheltered zone. Those who are qualified to settle on these planets are all lords of level 7 and above. They have another chat group among themselves. They rarely communicate with the lords of level 6. Only occasionally some orders about the Zerg's action plan are passed on. Now the Zerg almost does not expand outward, and the orders for passive defense against the new Han space army are the action plans issued by the top leaders of level 7 more than 100 years ago. The 43 lords of level 6 have a joint reconnaissance network that covers almost the entire sheltered area. However, no Zerg has discovered where the 3 planets are. It is estimated that the lords of level 7 have used some means to hide them. In the chat group of lords, there is great admiration for the power of the lords of level 7. The group is not very clear about how many troops the lords of level 7 have. They only know the troops of the lords of level 6 in this group. Except for a few new lords like the King of Zerg, the troops of other lords are about 300 to 500 million, the small ones are also 70 to 80 million. The total force is about 10 billion. It is not much different from the current human population of Pangu Star. Even they can have so many troops, How strong will the 7th level masters with 3 planets as bases have? That is simply unimaginable. Of course, Xiaoming is also a little confused. His reconnaissance means are not only the Zerg scanning map. In the hands of Green Xiaoming, there are 2 reconnaissance robots that he has strengthened with source energy. After being strengthened by source energy, their reconnaissance is no longer blocked by the shielding zone. So they can observe the interior of the Chu galaxy. However, after a month of observation, Xiaoming only saw the central star Chu in the galaxy. No large planets were seen. Of course, Xiaoming's observation time is still short. And even if it is not blocked, the space is really too big. 1 month is not enough to see much. It is even slower in data analysis. The information processing system of the reconnaissance robot is still very low level. It is normal that those planets have not been discovered yet. The most interesting and fun thing Xiaoming discovered was that the Zerg also played online games. No one knows where the Zerg network came from. Xiaoming estimated that it probably came from the Fuxi. They also taught Xiaoming a skill to log into the game. Xiaoming called it the Zerg game. This is a mental skill, through which the Zerg can access a spiritual world similar to an online game. This skill is also called the 7th skill by other overlords. In other words, it does not actually occupy the skill position of the overlord. And it is not only the overlord who can play games. In fact, any Zerg with a mental power of level 4 or above has the opportunity to learn this skill and enter the game. Of course, this requires that the overlord is willing to teach him the skill. And he can't be too stupid. Not every Zerg with a mental power of level 4 can learn the Zerg game skills. Zerg actually also plays games, this is too fresh. Xiaoming's interest was aroused at once. I wonder what their game is like. Xiaoming didn't say anything, and quickly used the skill to log into the Zerg game. After entering the game, Xiaoming could clearly feel that it was like the magic planet, and this was definitely the power of Fuxi. Sure enough, I guessed right, the Zerg game also used the source energy of Fuxi. According to the information sent by the Zerg overlords, they have been playing this game for tens of thousands of years. It's not just recently started playing. In other words, the magic planet is just a copycat. The original is here. Wait, can the Zerg be considered original? Did they copy the reincarnation space? It's so confusing. Xiaoming thought about it and felt like his head was going to explode. The truth behind this will be discovered later. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 622. Compared to the Magic Planet, the insect game is very simple and crude. The Zerg is a bit careless. When entering the game, there is no personal space. Lu Xiaoming only feels that he is surrounded by stars, and each star is probably a game/secret realm. There is no obvious main star, that is, there is no main game in the insect game. They are all secret realms. The size of the stars varies greatly, and the Zerg can sense it through their instincts. The larger the star, the more games the Zerg have played. This is popularity, no, it is insect energy. Let's see what the popular games of the Zerg will look like. Xiaoming naturally chose the one that looked the largest. As a result, he was dumbfounded when he entered. This is a stupid game similar to big fish eating small fish. The more the game character eats, the bigger the body will be, and the bigger the body will be, the more dangerous it will be. This type of small game originally existed on Pangu Star, but it was rare in the Magic Planet. I didn't expect to see it here. Of course, the game played by the Zerg should be called Big Monsters Eating Small Monsters. Seeing that so many Zergs have played it and it is so popular, Xiaoming couldn't help but wonder if there is any secret in this game. So he controlled his character and tried to play it, but he didn't find any secret until the end of the game. It's just eating. Xiaoming suddenly remembered that this game is so popular. Could it be because of this? Eating. Zergs love to eat? In reality, you must eat in moderation. Even the most tolerant Zerg will get sick if they eat too much. But in the game, you can eat as much as you want. Zerg is probably played for this. This group of useless foodies. Xiaoming complained about the Zerg in his heart while retreating from the secret realm. Stop in the air and carefully feel the stars around him. After a while, Xiaoming noticed that some of them had a sense of déjà vu. It was as if he had entered it before. This is unlikely, right? There is no reason for me to enter a Zerg game. Xiaoming was suspicious, so he chose a star and went in, came out, and chose another one, again. Xiaoming explored the first few secret realms of insects for a while, but he couldn't see any problems, and he didn't know why he had that feeling. It wasn't until the seventh secret realm that Xiaoming realized that this was the Marvel world. Xiaoming didn't have any special feelings about the secret realm, but because he felt that Yin Xiaoming was also in this secret realm at that time. Yin Xiaoming was in the same secret realm as Lance Jacob, accompanying the Prince of Asgard to pick up girls. And Green Xiaoming entered the secret realm as a Chitauri officer. There was an immediate induction between the two souls. There was something wrong with this matter. Although Magic Planet was a game made later, it had an intersection with the game of insects. Was it intentional by the game creation team? Or did the masters of the three tribes of humans, gods, and insects interfere? Or was it because they were derived from the same source energy, and the intersection was automatically generated? Even all three situations. There is too little information and too many possibilities. Xiaoming can't make a judgment at all. The development of the secret realm by humans on Pangu Star is still in a relatively early stage, and there is no rumor that anyone has dealt with the Zerg. But then again, the Zerg who can play games are all masters of mental power. And they appear as characters in the game. Even if you really encounter a character controlled by the Zerg, few people can tell them apart, right? Green Xiaoming exited the secret realm again. Looking at the size of these stars, there are really many Zerg playing games. Who created this Zerg game? What is their purpose? Is it to enhance the strength of the Zerg? Or to make the Zerg addicted to the game and unable to extricate themselves? Since the human race and the Zerg have games, do the Protoss have them? Will the light spirits that he feeds every day also play games? An unexpected discovery stirred up thousands of waves in Xiaoming's heart, and countless questions came to mind, but no one could give an answer. Next, Green Xiaoming logged into several more popular secret realms for the Zerg. The results are all similar. The Zerg's hobbies are simple and direct. All the popular secret realms are either eating or fighting. Not many Zerg are willing to play games that require a little brain power. Like the Marvel secret realm just now, it seems that almost no Zerg has entered to play. At most, they took a look and ran away. The Zerg atmosphere is low. One of the most popular games is the secret realm where the three races of humans, gods, and insects fight each other. Xiaoming calls it StarCraft. It is a strategic game mode that fights one game at a time. Each race has several forces, and each game is a big melee scene of more than a dozen forces from all parties. However, as a game, the Zerg in it is simpler than the Zerg in reality. I believe that the human and god races should be the same. And almost all of them are land wars, with a little air battle in the atmosphere, but Xiaoming has never encountered a battle in space. Xiaoming tried it a few times, and did not use his various abilities to cheat during the period. Sure enough, in terms of combat command, he is still a rookie. He often drags down the Zerg fighting together. Moreover, every time Lu Xiaoming entered the secret realm, he used the Zerg and never controlled the other two races, which means, Zerg can only use Zerg. Then who are the people behind the Terrans and Protoss that he encountered in the battle? As soon as he thought of the first question, Xiaoming immediately shook his head and threw it out. Oh, it's frustrating. Now once he thinks of a question, a series of questions will pop up. Xiaoming decided that it was enough to know about this matter and not to delve into it. Damn, if he keeps thinking about it, his brain will burn out. The secret realm settings in the bug game are not much different from those in the Magic Planet, but there are no special restrictions. The few Xiaoming encountered can use all kinds of supernatural energy at will without being suppressed. Among them, there are not many secret realms that are truly connected to the Magic Planet, that is, the secret realms that Xiaoming feels familiar with, only a dozen. These dozen are probably the secret realms that Xiaoming has explored before. It's just that the time is too short, so he can't identify them. Moreover, there are countless secret realms in the Magic Planet, and Xiaoming has only played dozens of them, and the total number is less than 100. So there may be more worlds with intersections. Xiaoming touched his chin, thought about it, and felt that the future would be very interesting. If nothing else, at least from the perspective of the Chitauri, cutting into the Marvel secret realm can provide a unique perspective. Let's also see how much power there is behind the Chitauri. Such an interesting thing, if it can also be cut into the game from the perspective of the Protoss, it will be even more interesting. Considering that the three tribes all use the source energy of the Fuxi Qin, Xiaoming thinks this possibility is not small. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 623. Xiaoming is usually easygoing, and is not a person with severe obsessive-compulsive disorder. However, after learning about the three major space races of humans, gods, and insects, it is inevitable that he will have some ideas. The original body is human, and Green Xiaoming has a body of the Zerg. Do you think he can't think about getting a body of the Protoss to make it complete? However, this matter is obviously not reliable, and Xiaoming just thought about it at the beginning. Where can I find a newborn of the Protoss? Being able to transform into a Zerg is a coincidence in itself, and I rely on taking over the body of a newborn Zerg. If I hadn't transformed my new body into the state of a Zerg human at that time, I would probably feel awkward with the body of a squid worm. The Protoss is even more difficult. Based on the memories of the three races I got before, Xiaoming probably knows. 1.5 million years ago, humans, gods, and insects were all defeated. In the end, the only ones left were dying individuals. They must have died out soon. The remnants of the Zerg fled to the Chu galaxy. Probably from their remaining genes, a new generation of Zerg in Chu galaxy was developed. The remnants of the human race went to Yandi galaxy. Judging from the appearance of Nuwa planet in Yandi galaxy, their descendants may have developed a magic civilization. Although Xiaoming saw either undead or monsters in Yandi galaxy, he has not seen normal humans yet. But Xiaoming is sure that there must be. Because the zombies he saw all looked like normal humans, and the skeleton soldiers also had the skeletal structure of normal humans. The Protoss finally drifted to Huangdi galaxy. And judging from the development process of humans on Quafa planet, the Protoss did not leave flesh and blood descendants like the other two tribes. Only the light spirits appeared and disappeared in Huangdi galaxy. It is hard to say what their state is. But Xiaoming estimated that there should be no Protoss body for Xiaoming to take over. So he can only daydream. This time, after contacting the game of insects, Xiaoming's mind became active again. The cosmic treasure Fuxican is really amazing. Both the human race and the Zerg race have developed corresponding things. The Protoss also has 1/3 of the authority, so it doesn't make sense for them to do nothing, right? From what I recall, when it comes to playing with various supernatural energies, the Protoss is still the best. Xiaoming decided to ask. So Huang Xiaoming connected Zhang Ziliang's body from the game cabin. I wanted to call the light spirit to come immediately. While feeding, I chat. Unexpectedly, I was interrupted by the beautiful adjutant. Lieutenant, please go to the conference room immediately and prepare for the meeting. Cecilia's voice was full of admiration. It always made Xiaoming feel a little flattered. I didn't think it was a big deal before, I just thought it was my vanity. In short, I was just being conceited. Today Xiaoming carefully felt it and found that there was something fishy. This might be some kind of trait of Cecilia that affected me. If it is developed into a practical mind ability, I don't know what it will be like. Okay. Let's go. I was thinking about it in my heart, but on the surface I had to obey the military's command. Yes, Cecilia still followed Zhang Xiaoliang closely like a tail. On the destroyer, there are many military reincarnations. To be precise, there are many copies of reincarnations, and their real bodies will log in from time to time. Whenever Xiaoliang goes online, many reincarnations will soon log in. It can be regarded as strengthening the vigilance. Of course, most of them are not of high rank, with D-level reincarnations being the most common. Occasionally, there will be C-level ones online. I haven't seen anything more powerful yet. After all, it is in a warship, and the risk factor is very small. Xiaoming thought there were high-level reincarnations, and came to see out of curiosity. In fact, there were none. It makes sense when you think about it. They are all people who have seen countless reincarnation worlds. Who would be curious about such a thing? This meeting actually used the largest conference room on the Liehua destroyer, which can accommodate more than 100 people. And it was full, and there were many standing. Xiaoming was sharp-eyed and saw that Zhou Bin, the captain of the 33rd team, was also there. The meeting was about the work of this wave of dispatch teams. It was related to Xiaoming and Xiaoliang. Most of the members of the 9th dispatch team were going to the surface of Quafu Star. The Liehua destroyer was also going to be sent to the surface of the planet as the strongest force to protect the base. Now something happened. The problem was that Xiaoming and Zhang Xiaoliang could attract light spirits. The researchers wanted to do experiments and needed to put them in different environments. Since Xiaoming was definitely going to the surface of the planet, Zhang Xiaoliang would leave the Liehua and be sent to other warships. In this way, Xiaoming and Xiaoliang were in two environments, one with gravity and one without gravity. Researchers could compare and study them. Now we were close to Quafu Star, and the warship that was going to pick up Zhang Xiaoliang would arrive soon. So we held a meeting to inform them and arrange the entire deployment plan. This was not something that could be done by sending Xiaoliang to a new warship. The arrangements of the researchers had to be adjusted greatly, and the arrangements of the reincarnators also had to be adjusted. It was actually quite complicated. After all, the new Han Space Army was established not long ago. Although there are many small spaceships, there are only a few destroyers, and they are still in the testing stage. It is indeed a bit troublesome to deploy them. More importantly, there are not enough qualified space soldiers. They are not Xiaoming, each of them can only operate one clone. In terms of manpower, they have always been a little short of money. Xiaoliang was called to the meeting mainly to show their importance to him. It also allows him to meet his future boss. Xiaoliang, let me introduce you. After the meeting, Major General Su Feng said to Zhang Xiaoliang amiably. I will be sent to Quafu Star to preside over the construction and development of the base. I will take care of your brother. I will introduce your future boss to you. As he said, Su Feng nodded to the staff, and the staff immediately started the video call program. A young and heroic face appeared on the big screen. Obviously, he had been waiting for a while. Hello, Major General Lu Ziu. Su Feng saluted first. Xiaoming and Cecilia quickly followed the salute. The people in the picture also hurriedly returned the salute. Hello, General Su Feng, this is the famous Zhang Xiaoliang, right? It's nice to meet you. Yes, General Xiaoming was respectful. Jane, I haven't come to Uncle's house for a long time. Ping misses you. Come over someday when you are free. The general actually took the initiative to greet Xiaoming's adjutant. It seems that they are very close. Although he looks young, it seems that General Lu is Cecilia's elder. Yes, General Cecilia was a little shy when they suddenly talked about private matters here. But there was nothing else to say. Uncle Lu always did this regardless of the occasion, and no one could do anything. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 624. Xiaoliang, this Major General Lu Zia works in the Special Research Department, which is a cooperative organization between the New Han Space Army and the New Han Royal Academy of Sciences. His name is a secret among the people, but he is well known in the army. You can't go wrong if you follow him. Major General Su Feng introduced Xiaoming's future boss in detail. He praised some of his famous achievements. Lu Zia is a typical expert. Before he could say a few words, someone came to disturb him with a project, which was all confidential, so he had to hang up the communication. Xiaoming's senses were very sharp. He seemed to hear something related to the Zerg. It was probably the squid worm corpse he left in the scientific research space station. Cecilia, you seem to know General Lu very well. Can you tell me? On the way back to his room, Xiaoming chatted with the adjutant. He is my elder, we live in the same neighborhood. Uncle Lu is a very nice person. By the way, he is the nephew of the current emperor, and the older generation calls him Lu Huangji. Ah! Lu Huangzi. He is a royal family. By the way, he is your uncle, and a major general. Why does he look so young? It was a bit unexpected that Lu Zia was actually a royal family of the New Han Kingdom. Then Xiaoming thought that he was not a reincarnationist at this time, so he asked a question that he already knew the answer to. This. Coincidentally, Cecilia was not a reincarnationist either, and did not understand the ins and outs of it. He had to deal with it with what others had said to fool her. Maybe, the royal family takes good care of themselves. I am not sure. Uncle Lu has always been young, and he is also very envious. At this time, several soldiers saluted and floated under the two of them. To be honest, walking in magnetic shoes in a spaceship is actually very blocked, and floating back and forth saves a lot of space. On the transport ship, everyone is not used to it, and most of the time they are still willing to walk. They were all veterans on the destroyer, and more people were floating back and forth. A corridor large enough for humans to walk, but several layers of people could float up and down. Originally, Xiaoming wanted to ask who Ping was, but after hearing that she was a royal family, he didn't want to ask anymore. So he just talked about other trivial matters. While chatting, he secretly released source energy. Soon the light spirits gathered around. It has become a habit. This time, in the communication with the light spirits, Xiaoming conveyed his desire to transform into a god. It seemed to have aroused great interest from the light spirits, but these light spirits could not express their meaning clearly. In short, there was a feeling of being welcomed, but not fully accepted, and it seemed that they had to wait for news. I don't know if they want to ask for instructions or discuss it. But it seems that there is a way. I thought it would take 5, 7, or 6 days before there would be news. Who knew that soon the light spirit trees near Zhangxiaoliang began to increase abnormally in large numbers. From the initial dozens, it quickly increased to 100, 200. When there were 7 or 800, the entire Liahua was alarmed. So many light spirits gathered together and occupied a large space in the destroyer. At this time, Xiaoming finally sensed a relatively complete and clear meaning. The light spirits led Xiaoming's soul into a spiritual realm. It seems that here he can learn how to become a god. However, After entering this realm, Xiaoming was happy. This place was too familiar. I believe everyone has guessed that this spiritual realm is the Protoss god realm in the game. In the past, Xiaoming had the right to enter the game for half an hour every week. Now the light spirits have opened the realm to Xiaoming for 1 hour every day. This time limit is not because the light spirits are stingy. Xiaoming can feel that they are for Xiaoming's good. The Protoss god realm they opened is more vast than the one in the game. If a soul is not strong enough, it is very likely to get lost in it, or even lose its mind. Many light spirits are produced in this way. Xiaoming was confused about what it meant afterwards. It seemed that they couldn't explain it clearly for the time being. But it didn't matter. There was a lot of time left, so it was more important to study hard. In the Protoss domain, many of the things that were seen were not skills, but knowledge stored by the Protoss. It was like a database of Protoss information. Most of the knowledge was useless to Xiaoming. Most of them were the customs, minerals, vegetation, etc. of various planets in the Protoss original territory. Xiaoming was not interested in these. Time passed in this search. Not to mention, as I watched, my interest was cultivated. This planet looks so fun, that animal is also very interesting. After traveling in the domain for an hour, Xiaoming seemed to know something, but he didn't seem to do anything serious. It was like a geek watching videos for an hour. Besides, the database of the Protoss was not particularly easy to use. The main reason was that Xiaoming faced and understood it with human thinking, which was indeed a bit out of place. Huang Xiaoming came back to his senses and opened his eyes to find that he had actually returned directly to Xiaoming's body, not waking up from Xiaoliang's body. After exiting the rest, the soul actually returned automatically. It was harmless. From now on, Xiaoming has one more daily task. Although there are no younger sister and brother when in Guangmingding, it is not deserted. Maomoer, Xiaoxiaoer, Xiaosheneng, Xiaohong, Xiaolu, Xiajia, it is still very lively. Soon after, my sister arrived in Zhongdu first. Before she went, she carefully selected and rented a house. After she arrived, she immediately set up a teleportation mark in the house. At the same time, the housekeeper's shadow clone opened the bright summit, and Xiaoming brought a family of strange guys to help her tidy up the room. As for whether there would be surveillance, it didn't matter. Xiaoming had already isolated the surveillance with a barrier. Xiaoming's barrier technique has been exposed, and it can be used at will. The key is that Xiaoming is now a representative of a faction. It is normal to set up a barrier. Here, Xiaoming has left a housekeeper's mind beast shadow clone, a maid's mind beast shadow clone, and 3 ordinary shadow clones for a long time, reporting at any time when encountering a situation. Now that the shadow clone can be controlled by the spiritual kingdom, information transmission is much easier, and there is no need to remove the clone every time. At the same time, the shadow clone's cultivation progress and fatigue will also be transmitted to Xiaoming in real time. In the past, when the clone was released, a lot of memories and experiences were washed in, like a flood bursting through the dam, but it was still too violent. Now it is a long-term flow, which is much better. As a result, Xiaoming can bear more clones. This is a technical breakthrough. In addition, Xiaoming also quickly mastered the method of replenishing energy to the shadow clone through the spiritual realm. This allows the shadow clone to exist almost for a long time. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 625. In fact, I was separated from my sister for only a few hours, so I didn't miss her at all. Seeing that my brother arranged people to tidy up the house, Xiao Jing'er stayed with her brother for a while and then left for school. Xiaoming was not suitable to show up in Zhongdu, so he didn't go with him. Originally, he didn't want to go to Brother Wen's place. The fat man at Dongdu Airport was being greeted by a dozen people, so it was not easy to contact him now. However, through Jiang Wen's mental power, Xiaoming sensed that there seemed to be a flickering malice around him, but it was very strong. It didn't make sense. How could anyone have malice towards Brother Wen at this time and place? Xiaoming immediately became alert. With the help of Brother Wen's mental power alone, Xiaoming didn't know much about the investigation there. So, he found a secluded place nearby and teleported over using a wormhole. Xin Hui, an E-level reincarnation, a member of the League of Legends Japanese branch, and a level 3 Qi refiner. His skills are from the Taoist school, and his potential is still very great. It's just that the growth of Qi refiners' strength in the early stage will be a little slower, and their combat power is temporarily limited. This week, his group is responsible for patrolling the Dongdu airport. This kid wants to win merit and get more points to buy things. And there are some other purposes. However, it's already Friday this week, and the airport is still so calm. The day after tomorrow, the shift will be handed over. Seeing that this mission can only get a guaranteed 1 point, the young man is a little anxious. This can't be blamed on him. In the last airport patrol mission, he saved 2 ghosts and caught a little monster who smuggled into the country, earning a full 5 points. So this time, the expectations are inevitably raised a little. The result is really good. The greater the expectations, the greater the disappointment. There is nothing to gain in a week. At this time, he saw a fat zombie, surrounded by a group of people, who didn't look like a good person at first glance. It was Jiang Wen who was targeted by him. Xin Hui is only E-level, and he can't judge the level of zombie Jiang Wen. I just wanted to exorcise the demons. People die for money and birds die for food. Even if you can't see that Jiang Wen is stronger, can't you see the reincarnation ring on his hand? This kid is simply blinded by interests and only sees what he wants to see. Of course, he has other things to rely on. To deal with a zombie, you must be quick, accurate, and ruthless. Who knows what kind of means the other party will have? Xin Hui quietly sent a secret signal to his teammates. Then he took something out of his arms. Although he ignored the reincarnation ring on Jiang Wen's hand, he subconsciously knew that something was wrong. If other people arrived and recognized that the zombie was a reincarnation, he would not be able to take action. Only before everyone arrived, a one-shot kill would work. Because the reincarnation ring of the dead will be directly taken back by the space. There is no ring, only a zombie's body. I can say whatever I want when the time comes. However, just when he was about to take action, he suddenly found that his whole body seemed to be stuck by a thick layer of mucus and he couldn't move at all. The treasure that had just been taken out of his arms also fell into the hands of a young man in front of him. It was Zhang Xiaoming. Since Xiaoming was here, he would not be allowed to run wild. Xiaoming, who shuttled over, quickly locked onto the suspect Xin Hui. This kid's life energy was too easy to identify. But as long as he didn't really make a move, Xiaoming would give him a chance to regret. Until the moment before he was about to make a move, he used a large piece of retractable love and hate to trap the kid. He also took away the weapon he was about to use. Xiaoming held this thing with a very strange expression. I never thought it was a small squash model. Even if it was a glutinous rice dumpling, it made sense. What's the matter with a squash model? In the Pangustar world, there is no game called Plants vs. Zombies, although there are both in the secret realm of the Magic Planet and the Reincarnation world. Xiaoming has not encountered it yet. Holding this squash, Xiaoming was confused. However, judging from the spiritual power contained in the model, this is a very powerful weapon. And it is particularly targeted and extremely effective against zombies. Brother Wen is already a third-generation zombie, with the potential to be at least a B-level reincarnationist, but unfortunately he has not yet developed to that level. If he had that strength, Xiaoming would not feel the danger. Zhang Wen's telekinesis is even worse. The amount of telekinesis is not low, but the combat power is not high. Brother Wen plays telekinesis mainly for personal hobby, and combat is secondary. He is also a person who has nothing to do. With the current D-level strength of the fat man, it is really possible that he will be seriously injured by a blow. But he should not die. After all, he is not an ordinary zombie, but a bug-man zombie. His vitality is very strong. This idiot should not be able to kill him. Bold. Who are you? How dare you? Xing Hui, who was stuck by telekinesis gum, dared to speak rudely and shouted at Xiaoming. But before he finished speaking, Xiaoming sealed his mouth with a piece of chewing gum. Xiaoming felt that there were several reincarnations approaching around him, and they had already seen the situation on his side. After looking at them for a few times, Xiaoming carried Xing Hui and entered a men's restroom right under their eyes. Xiaoming just came out from here. The only empty place in the airport was the cubicle in the restroom. Soon, several men hurriedly left the washroom, and then another 7 reincarnations came over, 2 guarding outside the door, and 5 pushed the door open and entered. The reincarnationists have their own methods, and ordinary people will not pay attention to this for the time being. Who are you? Why did you kidnap my junior brother? A tall and thin man was obviously the leader of this group of people. His words were polite, but his momentum was quite strong. This is normal, others have ridden on his head. How can he remain calm? Brother Wang, this man doesn't have a ring, there is no need to be polite to him. Go ahead. A guy wearing glasses next to him, who looks gentle, said very violently. Xiaoming raised his right hand and temporarily cancelled the hiding of the reincarnation ring. Seeing the ring, Brother Glasses was a little confused. He had heard of the means to hide the reincarnation ring, and that was a 100-point thing. He had been struggling in the reincarnation space for many years, but he had never really accumulated a 100-point score. He was definitely not an opponent for a reincarnationist with such ability. Thinking of what he was about to do just now, the little glasses were so scared that he didn't even dare to say a word. Xing Hui's senior brother was a wise man, and he glared at the useless little glasses fiercely. This kid is really stupid. He is very clear about Xing Hui's ability. The other party did not show the reincarnation ring, but he could control an E-level reincarnation silently. Either he is a master who has hidden the ring, or he is not a reincarnation. If he is not a reincarnation and still has such ability, then he is an even more powerful master. You must be cautious when facing such a person. The other party clearly saw him and others, but he did not run away at all, but came to the washroom to wait. It is obvious that he is fearless. At this time, of course, you have to feel the bottom first. How can you just start fighting? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 626. Xiaoming saw that he had temporarily subdued the other party, so he let go of Xing Hui's mouth. Tell me, why did you use this thing to sneak attack my reincarnation friend? Xiaoming's tone was light, but the pressure was released. If you dare to lie again at this time, Xiaoming will not be polite. In the face of this level 6 mental pressure, lying also depends on strength. How can an E-level reincarnation resist it? Everyone present, even his senior brother, is also unable to compete. So Xing Hui honestly told the whole story of how he wanted to hurt Zhang Wen in order to get points. The other reincarnations felt a little ashamed after hearing it. But no one blamed this kid for not telling a few lies. They were also under Xiaoming's pressure, and asked themselves if they were not capable of lying. Sir, this is my junior's fault. I sincerely apologize to you and your friend. Please let me take him back to the Japanese branch, and the Alliance will deal with it seriously. This senior brother quickly set the tone for this matter, mainly because he wanted to get his junior brother back as soon as possible, so that he could have an explanation with the master. Since no one died and there were no bad consequences, the punishment would not be too severe. On the contrary, the man in front of him was too powerful. If he was provoked to take action personally, it would be unknown what would happen. Sir, you should know the credibility of the Alliance. Please leave a contact number. We will report the punishment results to you in a timely manner. This can be regarded as a beginning and an end, but it may not be without the intention of getting back the place. It may not be useful to say your own name. Xiaoming was too lazy to make trouble, so he showed the name of the zombie lineage. Well, when you have the result, just notify Sister Hongqiao of the northern branch directly. After hearing Hongqiao's name, this senior brother probably had an idea in his mind. It turned out that Zhang Wen was a real zombie with a foothold. This time, the junior brother kicked the iron plate. The attitude was lowered. After a few more polite words, Xiaoming let Xing Hui go and let them take him away. Xiaoming actually carefully examined the life energy of this kid and found that he could not be transformed into a bad guy. This time, he was just impulsive and was blinded by the points. He was a cultivator and had indeed done some things to subdue demons and monsters, and he had accumulated a lot of merits. If Xiaoming used the sword of judgment on him, he would not be punished. Even if he succeeded in sneak attacking Zhang Wen this time and did a great evil. But good and evil offset each other, he would still not be punished by the sword of judgment. In order not to hurt good people by mistake, Xiaoming's sword of judgment was set up like this. The purpose of the sword of judgment is not to punish, but to urge people to do more good deeds to compensate for the evil deeds they have done. The real punishment is the matter of the underworld, and there is no need for him to interfere. Of course, if Xing Hui really hurt Brother Wen, Xiaoming would not use such a gentle method as the sword of judgment to deal with him. Xing Hui is like a thief who was caught for the first time stealing something. It is very likely that he will stop there and return to the right path. Many people who are unforgivable are not born that way. It is often because they were not caught or were let off lightly when they first made a small mistake. As a result, they have tasted the sweetness of evil, and they can easily get huge benefits by taking the crooked way. Why should they take the right path? So they gradually go further and further on the road of harming others for their own benefit. In the end, they become absolutely selfish people who will not hesitate to trample on anyone's life for a little profit. So the words of the sages still make sense. Do not do good things for small things, and do not do evil things for small things. People should prevent small things from happening. Xiaoming was smug and proud of himself because he thought he had saved someone's future. Suddenly, he felt that there seemed to be some movement in the depths of his soul. He was startled and hurried back home through the wormhole. Enter the depths of his soul again. At this moment, Green Xiaoming is building a playground for Xiaoxiao in the Chu galaxy. Huang Xiaoming is also strolling in the martial arts planet. Only the soul of Silver Xiaoming has free time. When I was immersed in the depths of my soul, I found that Zheng Zheng had woken up again and was chatting with a horse covered in tiger skin. They look a bit similar. How long has it been? Has Zheng Zheng absorbed enough energy to wake up? I didn't feel it. Seeing Xiaoming come in, Zheng Zheng immediately greeted, "Landlord, this is my roommate, named Lu Shu. Please take care of me in the future." Xiaoming frowned and thought, who told you that this is a rental house? It's not enough for you to live alone, and you even called your friends here. Can my little energy feed you? Suddenly a pleasant voice came over, "Landlord, don't worry, I'm different from this guy, I pay the rent." Xiaoming was horrified. This was in the depths of his soul. I actually felt that the other party's spiritual communication was pleasant to the ear. It was amazing, and a little bit impressive. Before, the army had already explained their origins very clearly. This time, there was no need to waste too much words. The matter was also very simple. Lu Shu was also one of the human race's optical computers. He went out to work N years ago. His identity was the administrator of the Plants vs. Zombies system. At that time, there was no magic planet, and the Plants vs. Zombies system was not the kind of game system provided by the army. Instead, Lu Shu made it with his own authority based on the information he obtained. A system that can be used in reality. The various weapons and props provided by the system, because they have the strongest damage to zombies, created a medium-sized Taoist sect Mogyatang. The one who got the system was the founder of Mushroom Hall. He provided the system with high-quality energy such as spiritual power, and the system would mobilize the source energy to make various props for him in Plants vs. Zombies. He was a very shrewd reincarnationist who knew how to make full use of the system and quietly exchanged a lot of good magic weapons and skills for himself. Much better than Xiaoming, the idiot. He was also good at judging the situation and seizing opportunities. He finally made a name for himself on Pangustar and established Mushroom Hall. Lu Shu's system played a great role in this process. So the system became a secret that only the head of the Mushroom Hall could know. Others certainly didn't understand, but because of the magical reincarnation space. Everyone thought that the head of Mushroom Hall had an adventure in the reincarnation space to achieve this. Of course, the system has always been carefully kept by the head of the hall and will never leave his body. However, as the saying goes, divine objects will automatically choose their masters. The ring in the Lord of the Rings can change its owner by itself, let alone the optical computers such as the nine-tailed fox, and the Lu Shu. The squash that Xiaoming snatched from Xing Hui was one of the system's products. As soon as he got the squash, Zixi immediately got in touch with Lu Shu and became the leader. With the energy accumulated by Lu Shu, Zixi temporarily woke up and communicated with Lu Shu. As a result, Lu Shu came to be a tenant with the system. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 627. One thing that needs to be explained is that Lu Shu and the system he manages are not tangible things like rings, gourds, or crystal balls. They are a state of energy, and Lu Shu himself is a quantum optical brain. The system is the authority that Lu Shu obtained from the universe treasure Fuxiqin. And through Xiaoming's observation of Lu Shu and Zheng Zheng, it seems that these optical brains already have independent souls, not just artificial intelligence. I don't know whether they have souls that were created after the war between the three races of humans, gods, and insects, or whether they already have souls when they were created. It may even be that the souls were born due to the influence of the source energy of Fuxiqin. Xiaoming doesn't know why. But this is also the reason why Xiaoming needs to be a little vigilant. Because they are no longer completely restricted by the program and have the ability to make independent choices. I have to admire the technological level of this ancestor human race, which is indeed n generations beyond Pangustar. Of course, there is no need to be too vigilant. Xiaoming can observe their life energy. Although the optical brain is more complicated than humans or other species, you can still see some clues. At present, they have not revealed any bad intentions. As an energy body, the quantum optical brain is difficult to control, but it may not be impossible to control. In fact, the head of the Mushroom Hall has also made some preparations in this regard, setting up various barriers and other things. However, optical brains such as Zheng Zheng and Lu Shu have been dealing with humans for more than 1,000,000 years. They have lived among humans since the primitive age. These tricks of the Mushroom Hall have long been commonplace. They have no effect at all. Lu Shu's situation must be much better than Zheng Zheng, and he has also stored a lot of energy. Through the Mushroom Hall, Lu Shu has gained a lot of benefits. However, the Mushroom Hall is now strong, and the head of the hall has gradually reduced his reliance on the Plants vs. Zombies system. As the saying goes, if you rely on the mountain will fall, and if you rely on people, people will run away. The choice of this head of the hall is also a wise move. But it inevitably affected the relationship between him and Lu Shu. Why does the system follow you? Don't you have any idea in your mind? So Lu Shu has long had the plan to change jobs. But I have never found a good next home. Until the appearance of Jun Jun and Zhang Xiaoming. No matter how good the spiritual power is, it is not as good as the source energy. Lu Shu decisively chose to change jobs. As for the head of the mushroom hall who lost his system, he was so angry that he almost went crazy. That is not something Xiaoming can know. The yellow source energy tree absorbed Lu Shu's system, and its height only grew a few centimeters to 2.2 meters. However, the first flower of this tree bloomed, and the ability of this flower is exactly the Plants vs. Zombies system. In the early stage, the system only opened two options for source energy exchange: sunflower and pea shooter. The other exchange options have not been lit up yet. There is no need to ask Lu Shu, Xiaoming also understands. It must be necessary to spend enough source energy and buy enough products before other optional plants will slowly appear. Of course, every time Xiaoming exchanges the source energy used by plants, Lu Shu will extract a large part of it, and a small amount will flow into the system. The system will use its authority to call for more source energy to make plant models for Xiaoming to use. This is a win-win situation for Lu Shu and Xiaoming. As for Fuxi Qin, which paid a lot of source energy, it probably won't mind, right? Who knows? Since the rent has been paid, Lu Shu is willing to stay for a long time, and Xiaoming also welcomes it. In fact, Lu Shu's system has been taken away by Xiaoming's source energy tree. Unless Lu Shu is willing to give up the system, give up this authority and source of source energy, he can't leave. The same is true for Jun Jun, but it's more thorough. His system was helped by the reincarnation space to merge with Xiaoming. It doesn't work anymore. So now he can only rely on the source energy that Xiaoming usually emits as food and recover slowly. Now there is a Lu Shu to help him. Plants vs. Zombies is such an interesting thing. Xiaoming, who returned to the real world, exchanged for a sunflower and a pea shooter at the first time. What fell into his hands were two small models. Inputting spiritual power can make them show their true bodies and play a role. Sunflowers are roughly equivalent to solar converters. When exposed to sunlight, they can convert light energy into other forms of energy. The specific type of energy is set by Xiaoming. However, before Xiaoming modified the settings, the previous settings were still used, which was converted into spiritual power. However, the sunflower itself cannot store too much. Once the stored energy is full, it will stop working until Xiaoming takes the energy away. The pea shooter is a pure attack weapon. It can be planted in suitable soil, set the type of enemy, and then attack. The pea shooter also consumes energy every time it attacks. If there is a sunflower near it, it will automatically absorb the energy converted by the sunflower. If the energy is not replenished, it will automatically misfire after a few shots. The pea shooter has attack power against all enemies, and the damage to zombies will be particularly strong. It is about 5 times the normal damage. And the robbed squash is a disposable attack prop. The attack power exceeds that of a grenade. The price is not expensive. These things are actually not very compatible with my own abilities. Xiaoming himself plays the undead. Zombies are one of our own military units, and our good friend Zhang Wen himself is also a zombie. He must be set as a friendly army so that the pea shooter will not automatically attack Zhang Wen. According to the system description, the pea shooter's attack power is pretty good, equivalent to a pistol bullet. Hitting a zombie is equivalent to 5 bullets. Is this thing useful to me? Xiaoming thought about it and decided to make more of them to build a defense system. In a doomsday world like Resident Evil, it should be very useful. And zombies seem to be a kind of zombie, and fighting them is just what the pea shooter wants. I can try to find a reincarnation world of this kind. Suddenly, Xiaolu in Guangmingding stretched out her vines and expressed her interest in these 3 plants. Oh, why did I forget this? Xiaolu is a plant spirit herself, and she must have a high degree of compatibility with the sunflower and the pea shooter. Xiaoming handed the 2 models to her without hesitation. He did not disappoint Xiaoming's expectations. He easily merged these 2 special items. A sunflower that can convert light energy into spiritual power grew out of the vine, a pea cannon that can launch attacks, and a pumpkin that can be thrown out to hit people at any time. You are going to be rich this time. Xiaoming looked at the little maid who had followed him for a long time and said with envy. Xiaolu also turned the smiling face of the sunflower towards him. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 628. As a daughter-like monster, it would not be so easy for Xiaolu to fuse with other normal plants. There is a high probability that something will go wrong. But sunflowers, pea cannons, and squash are not real plants, but items with special abilities made by source energy. They are essentially the same as the products of the reincarnation space. They are very adaptable. So Xiaolu can fuse them into himself. Xiaoming regretfully found that he could not fuse. Although he was very interested and used source energy to help, it was still too far behind. Of course, Xiaolu's cultivation in the middle stage of foundation building is also a guarantee for fusion. With sunflowers, Xiaolu's spiritual power is endless. But of course, a sunflower cannot do this. Xiaoming is not short of source energy, so he naturally goes shopping. Source energy also suits the appetite of the plants versus zombies system, so soon, a large number of plants were unlocked. What nut wall, potato mine, piranha plant, ice shooter, etc. Xiaolu couldn't let go of these things and got them all over her body. Then, the mushroom series was unlocked, including sunshine mushrooms, small spray mushrooms, large spray mushrooms, timid mushrooms, etc. This is also the origin of the name of Mushroom Hall. After unlocking the mushroom series, Xiaoming found that the mushroom series was relatively cheap and easy to use. Especially the sunshine mushroom is the most special. Like the sunflower, it is responsible for providing spiritual power to other mushrooms. And it does not need to be exposed to light. It relies on decomposing the corpses of animals and plants to provide spiritual power, which is quite amazing. But there is also a small problem. Xiaolu doesn't like mushrooms. She is even more reluctant to plant them on herself. Because if mushrooms grow on her body, she will have a feeling that she has died. She feels uncomfortable all over. As a female ghost, her good sister Xiaohong likes these mushrooms very much. But mushrooms can't grow on ghosts. What I never expected was that in the end, the mushrooms actually lived on the few zombies in Guangmingding. This is the plants versus zombies system. Aren't you fighting zombies? How did you coexist with the enemy? It's so unprincipled. In fact, zombies are corpses, and corpses are suitable for mushroom growth. Of course, mushroom growth will consume the flesh and blood of corpses. Zombies created by magic from the Yanhuang galaxy can use the breath of death and magic to replenish their flesh and blood. They have the conditions to support mushroom parasitism for a long time. Mushrooms naturally like this kind of inexhaustible host. There is a lot of death breath in Guangmingding, and we are not short of magic power. Zombies that parasitize a large number of mushrooms can become mobile turrets. Unfortunately, there are only a few zombies in Guangmingding, and their levels are low, and they can't carry too many mushrooms. Xiaoming only has first or second level zombies, and they can only carry a dozen mushrooms. If there are more, their bodies may not be able to recover. This is because there is enough death breath in Guangmingding. If it is an ordinary zombie, It can only parasitize 3 or 4 mushrooms. It seems that I need to get more high-level zombies. Suddenly, Xiaoming thought of Brother Wen. He is also a zombie, and he can recover by sucking blood. If he doesn't mind being parasitized by mushrooms, his body can carry quite a lot of mushrooms, which will definitely improve his combat effectiveness. Imagine that Brother Wen is a large mobile turret. And there are many mushrooms with special effects among the mushrooms. Brother Wen will definitely be very interested. Of course, to be on the safe side, Xiaoming will not use Brother Wen for experiments first. It would be best to learn the magic of summoning zombies in the game, or to get some zombies back from the reincarnation world for experiments. Soon Xiaoming felt a problem when he tried to learn to summon zombies in the game. His intuition told him not to learn. Since the dead have been committed to the skeleton system, if he learns magic such as summoning zombies, it will seriously affect the specialization of the skeleton. Of course, the zombies needed for the study of mushrooms were later solved. The solution actually came from this system. The research on mushrooms encountered obstacles, but other plants can still be studied normally. Xiaoming spent a lot of source energy. In the first few days, Xiaoming unlocked many normal plants. Later, the unlocking speed became slower and slower. However, the surprise is that before the plants are fully unlocked, the system actually unlocks the zombie series. Xiaoming can exchange zombies through the system and automatically get the parasites of suitable mushrooms. These zombies have nothing to do with magic. They only need the breath of death, yin energy, which is abundant in Guangmingding. At this time, Xiaoming's knowledge is still shallow, and he knows very little about the various sects of the monks on Pangu Star. Normal monks know that the strange sect of Mushroom Hall exists. They should think of it as soon as they see the pumpkin model. Even most sects have purchased or exchanged some props from Mushroom Hall. Not only are they very useful, but they are also worth studying. Only Xiaoming, a newcomer, would not know this common sense. Otherwise, Xiaoming should be surprised at this moment. Mushroom Hall has sold a lot of props, but has never sold any zombies. According to his unlocking order, Mushroom Hall should have unlocked the zombie item a long time ago. Do they dislike zombies? Or do they have other intentions in keeping these zombies? Perhaps this is just what every sect and every force will do, keep a backup. For a period of time, Xiaoming's energy was used to study the plants versus zombies system. Supervise the nesting work of the Zerg in the Chu galaxy, and the search for parents in the Wuxia planet. Naturally, other things were neglected. I originally planned to play Wuxia planet after 8 p.m. every day. But this secret realm that does not accept supernatural energy is actually interesting and attracted Xiaoming. Even the business in the main game of Magic Planet was not taken seriously, mostly let the intelligent program handle it. Inevitably missed a lot of opportunities. It can only be said that even with 3 souls, each with 6th level mental power, and can work 24 hours without rest, Xiaoming's energy is still limited. There will always be a loss of one thing for another. Of course, it doesn't matter. Xiaoming cares more about the process of playing games and hopes to play as interestingly as possible. I don't really care about the results. Since I didn't try my best and perfunctorily, it doesn't matter if the result is not good. Besides, the intelligent programs actually do quite well, and often do better than Xiaoming himself. However, according to the game settings, there are some plots and tasks that can only be triggered if the player appears in person, so it is inevitable that they will be missed. Only on July 18th, when it came to the reincarnation space task, the real time was suspended, and Xiaoming could finally take a lazy rest. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 629. At midnight on Monday, July 18, the Mingjing team and several other reincarnationists entered the reincarnation world of Infernal Affairs 1, with a time limit of 10 days. This is a confrontation mission. The Mingjing team belongs to the police, while the other reincarnationists belong to the underworld. This time, because the energy level of the mission world is too low, all reincarnationists are prohibited from using any supernatural energy. Physical fitness is also lowered to the level of ordinary people. Even Xiao Xiao is no exception. As Chen Wei, Xiao Xiao's power is innate and does not come from the reincarnation space. However, the space still has the ability to prohibit his extraordinary power. It also gives him the body of an ordinary human teenager. This feeling makes Xiao Xiao feel very novel. The sword light coldly shines on Zhu and Kraken, two guys with strange origins, and they can't avoid it. Of course, maybe they didn't intend to avoid it. Before June 27, the Mingjing team also encountered a world of ordinary people. At that time, the space also prohibited Xiaoming's supernatural energy. Unexpectedly, the situation changed this time, and Xiaoming's supernatural energy could be used at will. What's going on? In fact, when he encountered the ordinary world of Young and Dangerous again last Monday, the rules had changed, but he didn't notice it at the time. After asking the space, Qingxinglu responded that it was because he had become a gold VIP. He became a gold member in the world on June 27. At that time, the reincarnation space detected a special situation and took the initiative to help Xiaoming fuse the seeds of yellow source energy. After that, Xiaoming was promoted to a gold VIP. It turns out that the gold VIP has such favorable conditions. If in this world where supernatural energy is prohibited, even an S-level reincarnationist is not Xiaoming's opponent. Of course, if Xiaoming is not able to completely kill an S-level reincarnationist in the reincarnation world, it is better not to show off. Be careful of revenge in the future. Xiaoming said he has no interest in this world. Taking this opportunity, he should study the Plants vs. Zombies system. Everyone in the team also supported his decision. If he can't pass the level without the leader, it would be too embarrassing. The Infernal Affairs world is a good opportunity to test everyone's ability. So 10 days later, when Xiaoming returned to the settlement space, he found that all the team members were dejected and listless. Even Xiao Xiao was very unhappy and was comforted by Zhao Zhu. It was eye-catching. According to the prompts given to the captain by the space, everyone completed the main task 1, but none of them passed task 3. The result of task 2 was half and half. It was not that the other side's reincarnation was powerful and had an outstanding layout, which defeated our side. Instead, the reincarnations of both sides were collectively slapped in the face by ordinary people in the task world. Before the end of task 3, none of them were left. I didn't expect that both the police and the criminals had spies of the other side. Who can bear this? Everyone can only crush ordinary people in terms of force. Once this advantage is cancelled, the situation will be completely reversed. Everyone found that when it comes to playing with brains and plotting intrigues, their group is no match for the cunning guys in Infernal Affairs. An agent or a small leader in a gang is capable of playing them around. Not to mention Huang Zhishan, Han Chen, Lu Jianming, Chen Yongren, who are scheming people. The result of the mission was a big blow to everyone. Xiaoming asked himself, if he didn't have any superpowers, he would be finished. Not to mention him, even many high-level reincarnations, including S-level ones, are also tired of this kind of mission world without supernatural energy. Of course, S-level reincarnations don't hate the characters in the plot, but the players. Although most reincarnations know that they can't provoke S-level reincarnations who are now ordinary people just because their forces are equal. If they retaliate in the future, no one will support you. Everyone will think it's what they deserve. But it's inevitable that you will occasionally encounter some idiots who don't know the consequences. He just comes to annoy you, which is really annoying. So many S-level reincarnations, as long as they are not very tight on their hands, generally use props to exclude this kind of lowest level mission world. Xiaoming and his three siblings were not very clear about these common sense information. Xiao Jing'er and Zhang Wen were both indignant because they did not pass the task well. They asked Xiaoming for a random world invitation letter and went to a random world to vent their anger. Zhao Zhuzhu and Kraken were not very happy either. They invited Xiaoming to play a game in a team, but Xiaoming was worried about the things in the real world. He declined politely. The four of them still needed to strengthen themselves, so Xiaoming did not wait and returned to the real world with Xiao Xiao in his arms. After returning, Huang Xiaoming went to play martial arts world again. This game is quite interesting. Huang Xiaoming chose the Lianchengju secret realm, but he could not change it after the secret realm was selected. Only after achieving a certain score in the Lianchengju secret realm can the option of other secret realms be added. Of course, you can still go back to the main game of Datang Shuanglong Xuan. There are special switching locations in the game. For example, places like inns. Xiaoming's taste for secret realms is a bit tricky. Xiaoming definitely doesn't like the complete loss of supernatural energy and no advantages. That's a situation where he is beaten and abused. But the advantage is too big, so he is not very satisfied. He can just crush them directly, and there is nothing fun about it. Speaking of this, it seems that he has a tendency to be both a person and a leader. Of course, Xiaoming doesn't want to show off his power, he just does it for fun. What? Just don't use supernatural powers? How can it be that easy? People's abilities will be used unconsciously and subconsciously. In Xiaoming's current situation, if he doesn't use supernatural energy, it's like an ordinary person with his hands tied to do things. But if there is no rope to really tie him up, it's hard to keep his hands from separating. The different secret realms of the magic planet can only partially meet Xiaoming's needs. Many secret realms suppress supernatural energy. However, no matter which secret realm, source energy will not be banned. High-quality energy is one of the purposes of the optical brain nine-tailed fox participating in the game production, and Xiaoming's source energy is the biggest gain of the nine-tailed fox, so how can it be banned? Source energy is Xiaoming's biggest plug-in. If this is not banned, Xiaoming's advantage is still a bit too big. On the contrary, the martial arts world gave him a big surprise. The system of this game does not recognize supernatural energy, including source energy. Xiaoming's advantage is very small. But it's not that there is nothing at all. Xiaoming's Changshengju allowed him to have good internal strength in a short period of time. I'm afraid that in the entire game, few players can reach his current level. They have only practiced internal strength for 3 years at most. As long as they don't practice Kung Fu like the Nine Yang Divine Art, how can they catch up with the mystery of Xiaoming's 3 Changshengju practices at the same time? Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 630. With a longing for the game, Xiaoming entered the secret realm of city linking with great energy. The birth point is the resurrection point of Jingzhou City. There are 7 or 8 arrogant players guarding the spawn point. Seeing Xiaoming appear, he came over immediately. The leader shouted loudly and asked, "Newcomer, tell me your name, what kind of skills do you know? What is your internal strength?" His words were even arrogant. "Let me go, what the hell is this?" Xiaoming never expected to encounter such a situation when he first entered the secret realm. It ruined his good mood. Although Yuan and Ning cannot use telekinesis, Xiaoming's eyesight has become quite vicious after such a long time. One look at these players shows that they don't have much internal strength. They are basically at the level of street gangsters. How dare you be so pretentious? This style of painting is wrong. Moreover, as far as Xiaoming knows, most of the people participating in the Sheneng project are middle-aged people, and there are very few young people. Where did these young people come from? Rejuvenated. I haven't heard that the game warehouse has such a function. The game warehouse can enhance physical fitness and treat some minor illnesses, but it cannot rejuvenate one's youth. What's going on now? Seeing that Xiao Ming was just thinking deeply, he ignored them. These people immediately became angry. Good boy, Grandpa is talking to you and you dare to ignore it. You are looking for death. As they were talking, they each pulled out a knife and slashed directly. Looking at the path that the knife took, it seemed that there were some routines, not just random gestures. Xiao Ming was even more puzzled. Is Ni Ma sick? In reality, only very poor areas have such gangsters. What's wrong with this game? With their little skill, Xiao Ming could deal with it just by relying on his own reactions. Those who kill will always be killed. Xiao Ming would not be polite to such a little gangster. Internal strength is used in every move. The two knives stabbed straight at him, and the speed was simply not fast enough. Xiao Ming reached out with both hands and pinched the wrists of these two people. With a click, both wrist bones were crushed together. Amidst the screams of the two people, Xiao Ming caught the two fallen knives, raised his hands and threw them out. They instantly inserted into the chests of the other two people and they fell down. The remaining three people were stunned. Xiao Ming rushed forward and punched two of them in the chest. One had a broken heart and died immediately, while the other had a broken lung and fell to the ground coughing up blood. Xiao Ming turned around and arrived behind the last gangster. With a click, his arms were broken. The sword in his hand also fell to the ground. Then Xiao Ming pinched his neck like a chicken and dragged him away. There was only a mess on the ground behind him, and 6 gangsters lay dead and wounded in a pool of blood, with endless wailing sounds. In the end, this one didn't end well. After being tortured by Xiao Ming to extract a confession, his body was dumped in a dark alley. Of course, the corpse was quickly refreshed by the system. Due to the lack of information sources, Xiao Ming interrogated a lot of things about the game. After analyzing the information, it was found that in the game Martial Arts Planet, the progress of the secret plot needs to be promoted by players. To put it simply, every plot trigger has a minimum force standard and a number of people required. This plot can only be triggered when there are enough players who meet this force standard. Please note that this standard of force is not very high. The characteristics of the martial arts world are that as long as they are not the ultimate masters, ordinary masters can be plotted by ordinary people. Therefore, the system allows players with low levels of force to participate in the plot. Of course, different plots have different levels of player participation, and the standards are also different. When a plot is triggered, usually in the core area, plot characters interact according to the original plot. Players were divided into different camps by the system and placed on the periphery. Let them fight life and death first, and in the end there will be only a few players left, which will basically have no impact on the real plot. If players can work together, they can break the game. But the benefits of the plot are inevitably thinly spread. If the original benefits of several people or even one person are divided into hundreds of shares, how useful will it be? With the player's urinary nature, it is impossible to really work together in the face of benefits. In the end, we still have to follow the script given by the system and fight each other to the death. Each plot will only be triggered once. The plot development this time is the real development of the main line of the secret realm. After that, this plot will form a copy, so that subsequent players can also enter and follow the plot and gain some benefits. But it has no impact on the main plot. Nor can you gain favorability from plot characters because of the copy. Therefore, only in the process of triggering the plot for the first time can players have the opportunity to obtain the greatest benefits. You can't get anything very good in the copy. But the copy process will be much simpler. Players are more likely to engage. In addition, players cannot skip previous plots and directly enter the latest plot. Only after clearing all previous main plot copies. Only players are eligible to enter the latest plot. Of course, if the player's martial arts is high enough, it will definitely not be difficult to pass the copy. Unfortunately, most players' martial arts are not high enough, so it is still difficult to pass the dungeon. There is one good thing about the martial arts planet game: the player's skills will not be cleared. Players' martial arts are all practiced by themselves, and there is no such thing as experience level. Therefore, even if the player's character dies, it only takes some time to revive. The system cannot take away the martial arts and internal strength that the player has practiced. Of course, the items obtained before will definitely not be kept. Xiaoming's internal strength comes from the Changshengju, and he has never learned much martial arts techniques. For the time being, he can only use national martial arts and modern fighting skills to fight the enemy. Among them, moves such as Bagwazang and Xingyi Iquan are okay when paired with the internal strength of Changshengju. His current strength is already stronger than most players. And his mental power is very strong, although this does not allow Xiaoming to use mental skills such as alchemy and map scanning in the game. But it can make Xiaoming listen to all directions and see all directions. It is almost like a god's perspective. If you use mental power and stare at others to intimidate them, ordinary players may be scared. However, the NPC in the game is just a bunch of program codes, which will not be affected. In addition, the biggest advantage of strong mental power is that Xiaoming will learn martial arts moves very quickly. Just by watching the little gangster's swordsmanship, Xiaoming learned a few sword techniques. With these advantages, Xiaoming is very confident in himself. From the little gangster, Xiaoming also got a very strange news. These guys are not from Shenan. The Shenan clan is impossible to recruit such people. They are just the little gangsters from Pangostar. WTF.